Welcome to this first of two recordings of Pat Rodegast channeling the spirit of Emmanuel on Meta Spirit Day in the UK in 2006. Subscribe to this channel and we'll let you know when we upload new workshops or other materials from the Emmanuel archives. Now, enjoy this meeting with Emmanuel.
He's saying, yes, I do. I want you all, please, to welcome yourselves, not only into this particular time in this particular room, but in this particular lifetime. For as you are well aware, so many of you at your birthing or shortly thereafter were forbidden to be the truth of who you are. Am I speaking of abusive action? Not deliberately so. For there has been an overly long time, has there not, when intellect and therefore limitation has prescribed how being a human being ought to be. There has always been that voice of wisdom within each one of you that tended certainly to cancel out what would have crippled you or in some manner imprisoned you or driven you mad. And yet the world is reluctant to change, is it not? The world is the world of illusion and of manifest reality, therefore seemingly extremely difficult to change. But I want to say to some of you, and you particularly, dear young boy, that the world has asked you to come because the time for change is both imminent and imperative. And so may I take this moment to welcome you all in your noble purpose and in the delightful humanness that you have chosen to wear. You are angels. Every human being is an angel wrapped in the illusion of limitation and of life and death. There is no such thing as dying. There is only the release from illusion and the return home to the celebration of the ones who have loved you and walked with you and have attended to you as you have walked the path of humanity. There, that is as brief an introduction as I am capable of doing. To introduce you to you is my privilege, my task, and my great joy. And so, dear ones, how can I help you? Which means, bless you. Which means, do you have any questions particularly, that you want to answer? Yeah. When I started channeling Emmanuel, I had been doing meditation for a long time. So it was very helpful to get my own human personality and my opinions out of the way. And when I channel him here, I disappear. I mean, I don't totally disappear. It's still me, and if he's funny, I laugh, But my recording, or I don't remember anything that he says. So whatever, it's totally personal because I have to just be the vehicle. And it's a joyful thing, and I really feel blessed and grateful. And everybody walks with angels, and everybody can talk to angels. It's not a rare thing. It's just, we all get guidance. I mean, you all know that, And so I'm very happy with what I do, and I'm glad you're here, or I wouldn't be. So, yeah.
So, Emmanuel, thank you for being with me this past year. I found it really helpful. However, I am the world's slowest. I must be the world's slowest learner because I I keep kind of going round in circles. I know what it is I need to do, and then I forget, and then I start again, and I keep going round and round and round. What I would like is something really practical to help me to stop this circling around back to the beginning again and again.
All right.
Because it pisses me off.
He's saying, well, perhaps, dear one, let us begin there. The fact that you have little, if any, patience with yourself may be indeed an important ingredient in the forgetting. I want to say what may sound outrageous to all of you. Your first duty, responsibility, if you will, as the remembering angels that you have promised to become, is to be deeply, profoundly, compassionately in love with your dear selves. We are not speaking of egocentricity. We are speaking of compassion. Remember, dear ones, you are beings of light who have answered the call of love. And you have been willing to go, if you will, through the tunnels of self-forgetting to the heartbreak that has been inflicted upon all of you by your unheeding world. You have been forced by the world of illusion to take the hand of fear and to allow it to rule your lives. And so whenever the forgetting comes, dear one, we who walk with you are in awe that such a wondrous angel is willing to go through that pain because love has asked you to do it. And so rather than scold yourself, we wish, dear one, that you would congratulate yourself. To begin to offer solace where there is heartbreak, and love where there is the humanness. You see, you come not to simply remember and remain firmly locked in the remembering. No. Your sacrifice, your active worship, if you will, is to be willing to forget. And yes, then in those wondrous, rare and wondrous moments, to fully remember, and in that remembering, to create the miracle of light in the world of darkness. And that is no small thing. And then to forget again. So what I urge you to do is rather than to keep the negative score on how many times you forget and how profoundly you go back into the forgetting, I would that you would celebrate yourself. For becoming aware that you have forgotten is the act of remembering, is it not? Oh, I know. It is blissful to live in the remembering, and it is agony, profound pain and disappointment to live in the forgetting. And why would you not want to walk with the light, as you have done through centuries before you volunteered, by the way, to become human again? You are all volunteers. I want to remind you of that. There is no authority that says, now you must be human. There is only the sweet, loving, playful willingness of the angels that you are that say, yes, we want to go on the adventure this time. It's something I cannot imagine, the forgetting, sitting here in the light of eternal remembering. So I want to go on the adventure. And so I hope I have helped you whenever you have forgotten. Go to the mirror, look at the sweet reflection, and say, thank you. I love you. You are very courageous. That's your homework.
Emmanuel, for the past 8 years, I've been going through what can be called the dark night of the soul. And I want to ask you, do you know when this process is going to
come up?
finish? Yeah. Can you tell me why it's happening, or how I can help move myself out of it?
Dear one, please do hear this with all the compassion in the universe. Doubt is not wisdom. Doubt is fear, posturing, if you will, in the grandeur that it has taught you all to give it. Dark nights of the soul come when doubt enters. When the small angel child you were begins to look around and to see that this is the planet of forgetting, not remembering, and who is taught very severely, if you remember this, very severely, not to speak foolishly about angels, about light, about freedom, about love, about the ability to fly. They broke your heart. And it is a pain that one does not wonder why you wish to resist it. How could you not? And at the same time, you break your own heart with the educated doubt, if you will, and the assumed assurance of a comforted and satisfied mind. I want to tell you something quite different. In fact, if I might, I would suggest that every morning you begin by, in some manner, standing on your head. He's saying, why standing on her head? He's saying to get her brains below her heart so that the wisdom of the heart can begin the day and rule the day. And this may sound like foolishness, dear one. I promise you it would be very helpful. How long does the dark night of the soul last? That's entirely up to you. The moment you are ready to turn on the light of your own wisdom, your own courage, your own faith, and your own divine memory, it will end. I saw you hanging upside down of the bed. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that one too. Yeah, right. All right.
Is there more you want to ask about that?
I ever heard him say that before. This is very funny. Get your head below your heart. Okay.
Emmanuel, am I wrong in separating from my long-term partner? It's something that I feel is right for me, but may well be not good for him. So I would like your guidance around, is this a good thing for me to do? It's not an easy thing for me to do. And what are the issues of karma? If it is a bad thing for somebody, then what kind of effects or repercussions are there going to be on me? And finally, that I find it difficult to follow the intimations of my knowing. I mean, I do it, but it's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's saying, dear one, let us begin at the beginning. You start a life not because there is unfinished bookkeeping from the past life. You start a human experience because you want to and because love calls you. This is my response to your concern about negative karma, which in a way is bookkeeping, is it not? What I am saying is, Please, dear one, follow your heart. That's who you are. That's why you've come. You cannot make a mistake if you are following your heart. Well, you say, I am leaving this relationship, and I know it's what I need to do, but I'm not very sure it's good for him. I want to ask you something. How could it be good for him to be with someone who doesn't want to be there? Do you see what I am saying? And so it is not selfishness to follow your dream or to walk with your integrity. Dear ones, if you don't want to be where you are, what are you doing there? Well, you say, isn't that self-indulgence? It can be if the reasons are petty, if the reasons are profound. No. You see, again, the world of fear has taught all of you that there are shoulds and shouldn'ts, and yes, there are, but the difficulty, the confusion becomes apparent when you only solicit fear's definition of what is right or wrong. Please, dear ones, begin to ask love, what is right here? Well, now the question quite sensibly comes, how do I know I'm speaking to love? Because that is your intent. And if your intent is clear, you are speaking to love. If your intent is vague, then there's a great likelihood you're speaking to fear. And because of its very nature, fear will not and cannot give you an answer of truth. Why? Because fear is illusion. Fear lives in the illusion. It was born in the illusion. And fear cannot exist. It will as long as you feed it. But the moment you stop believing in it, fear has to disintegrate because there is no reality there. But the reality it insisted upon you obeying when you were very small children, when you were first born. Picture this, if you might, an angel of eternity volunteering to enter into a tiny body at the moment of birthing and to accept the identification that the world of forgetting has given you, that you are not this glorious being of perfect love and eternal light. You are a small, troublesome, helpless child that must indeed obey the humans that you were called to accompany, or you may not survive. Consider that. That is the enormity of your sacrifice. And that is the voice of illusion. See the answer? Yeah.
Emmanuel, this is the first time at this kind of event, and I'm kind of excited and also a little nervous. For as long as I can remember, I have, my whole life I've been in emotional turmoil. I had a very troubled childhood, and my mother died when she was 39, leaving a young family of 4. My brother died when he was 38, and my younger brother committed suicide a year or two ago, 5 years ago.
Wow.
And this, of course, has added to this sense of emotional turmoil, and somehow I've had the strength to get through this. My question is, do we choose our path in life? And how can I use the strength, or how can I get the strength to be kind to myself so that I can move on with my life?
In a word, yes, dear one, you do choose the focus of a life. You do not choose your day-to-day responses, and you are well aware of this. Did you choose to enter into the turmoil where you found yourself, the forgetting angel and the awakening child? Yes, but not to be victimized. Please do hear what I have said. Underline it, not to be victimized. You come not because there is a punishment for, as I have promised you, and I will say it as many times as is required, there is no judgment, there is no bookkeeping in the eternal and perfect loving, which is your home. You come to seek adventure. Well, you are saying, what kind of a foolish angel have I been to seek such adventure as this? Compassionate. There is a wealth of compassion in you, and how could there not be? You have been through unspeakable suffering, and you have been witness to the same. And so, allow yourself the awe of your own, yes, remarkably courageous self to remain true to your heart's knowing. And you have done so. Well, one wonders, what does one do with compassion in a world that seems to be determined, indeed bent, upon cruelty, suffering? You, if you will, elicit from yourself, in the name of yourself, a sweet prayer to begin every day. You find within your wisdom, and there is enormous wisdom there, the words to go into print, if you will, about how to walk in the tumultuous lifetime. What does one do in a family of abandonment, death, and suicide? How does one remain clear, aligned with one's own true force and memory? How does one grant oneself the right to be abundantly happy and extremely spontaneously joyous and creative when obviously there was extreme darkness to where love called you to be born? I would suggest that you write down whatever inspiration comes to you. Ultimately, you will find a publisher, if you will, and then you will be able to help so many people. The Way Out of the Darkness might be a useful title. Wow. Yeah, thank you for writing the book. Did you know you were going to?
I always thought about writing.
No, God, he's amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Good, good.
Are there any other questions arising out of that?
Emmanuel wants to know, he wants to talk to you. He's saying, I simply want to welcome you into your sweet world and urge you to remember who you really are. This may not make a great deal of sense to you now, but I promise you it will. You have come, dear sweet angel, to bring the bearer of truth to a world of confusion. And I say this with enormous sincerity. A goodwill ambassador, perhaps, from one realm of understanding to another. You have a beautiful, loving heart. Let it lead you. And I want to say, did you understand? Emmanuel said, yes, he did. Okay, great, thank you. Yeah. And he's saying to you again, I mean, it's not me, he wants to talk to you. And he's saying, we have been friends for a very long time, you and I. He's saying, don't force the memory. I promise you it's there. Oh, you've known Emmanuel forever, I guess, Yeah. He's got angels he talks to. He doesn't need to ask a question, right? Never doubt that. You have angels to talk to, and you have your own wisdom. Yes. Good for you. Right. And I'm seeing him say, because I know it. I mean, just, you know what you know. And that, that's great. And and Emmanuel is saying, he's not going to let anybody talk him out of it either. Great. Yes, good for you.
Emmanuel, I'm not sure where I'm going, or I have difficulty knowing when something's right for me. So, could you help me with this problem? Could you speak about this?
He's saying yes. If you promise not to label it a problem, if you promise, dear one, just to be the sweet angel that you are, well, you say, I'd like to know where I am going or where I ought to be. And he's saying, I want to tenderly remind you that's fear's choice. What would love say, and what does it say? Love says exactly what you're doing. Love says, let me just be. Let me roam. Let me taste life. And let me make my own decisions. So that's what love is saying inside of you. And he's saying love has never made a mistake, though fear would reprimand everything, of course. For fear is fighting for its life on your planet and in your sweet life as well. Don't let it win. You're safe, he's saying. And he's saying you've known this all your life. You haven't perhaps put it into the words that I have presented it to you. But nevertheless, your innate wisdom has always led you, has it not? Yeah. Great. Good for you. Yeah. And he's saying, don't be afraid. Love will not betray you, and neither will we. You walk with angels. It's time, dear one, you began to hold converse with them. Let us know when you are willing to receive our guidance, our companionship, for we do not have the authority to break into your life, any of you. We need to be invited, for you are not fools, you are not puppets. You are beings of eternal light and infinite wisdom. And you have come to experience the adventure that you are now partaking of. And we can only be present. We can only be of assistance or guidance when you invite us. So he's saying, allow me to introduce to you the two angels who are with you. you have met them before, but then you have not felt comfortable with that. He's saying, yeah, that's what he's saying. And so he's saying to turn on your left is the angel of light, and to turn to your right is the angel of eternal safety. That's nice. So start talking to him. Yeah. He's saying, fear will tell you it's your imagination, but don't believe one word fear ever says. By its very nature, honesty is impossible. Yeah. And he's saying, you've never done anything wrong. Please try to believe that. You haven't been wrong whatever decisions you've made. Yeah.
So with that, just that piece of advice, I want you to just, as you sit, just consider some of the obvious things you think that you've done wrong. And if it's not something specific, just the general weight that we carry, the guilt, however you perceive it, but I might describe it as a weight. You know, that image of a human being kind of holding the world on his back. I guess it could be her back also. And just as you breathe now, just begin to breathe in the possibility that there are no mistakes. Allow that weight to soften. Can you allow it? Just notice what happens. If you allow the possibility. Who is allowed to live if you allow that possibility? And who lives if you believe that you have made mistakes? What do you, just as a matter of interest, what are those two qualities? I described as weight. How would you describe it?
Sort of grayness.
Okay. Grayness, yeah. But even if you just consider it as, who's going to be more available to life? The one with the cloud, or the one with a slightly lighter? Just on a purely practical level. Who's going to be more ready? So I know it's a bit of a facer. See, you've probably come thinking, well, Emmanuel's just going to talk for a whole while, and we can just sit there and, not do too much, and just going to take it in. But who knows what Emmanuel's going to do? And what Emmanuel said is, it's not me, but it's you.
Yeah.
So we've all got these places, this baggage, all of us. We all think we've made terrible mistakes.
Yeah.
We're all the same. So don't be shy, Don't. It's just... What are the things that concern you? Who are you worried about?
Emmanuel's saying, you're right, there's no such thing as a mistake. There may be errors in judgment, but that's not a mistake. And that's subtle, but I can hear what he's saying. Yeah, right.
Emmanuel, I was sitting in a church praying that my life would change and praying for a normal life. And I heard that my life would change, but I'm waiting. It's been 2 years now, and it appears that nothing's happened. So what is this? What is this change that's coming? Can you speak about this?
He's saying, well, dear one, I touched upon the subject lightly, perhaps, a short while ago. Change can't come until you invite it. Well, you were saying, how do I know what it is? It's what you want. And, dear ones, I cannot take that responsibility away from you. What do you want? It is the requirement to listen with generosity to your own sweetheart. Don't be afraid, don't be ashamed. Hear what it is that you yearn for, that you hunger for. It doesn't even have to be one thing. It can be numerous things. And then, once you have clearly focused on the wisdom of your sweet self, then nothing will stop the change. Change cannot be inflicted. It must be created and allowed. You see, you are the miracle in your life. Nothing else can take place until you invite it, create it, request it. And so may I ask you directly now, if anything and everything were possible in this very moment, what would you create? Don't think, just be spontaneous. Be outrageously unreasonable, if you wish.
Emmanuel, when I got that message that there is a different path, it was the voice, the intimation was, I have a different message for you, a different path for you.
Yeah.
So that it's like almost like not mine, but this I's path.
I'm waiting for direction.
Yeah. So I am waiting for direction.
He's saying, well, dear one, I have just offered you the greater truth we have to begin by speaking as though we are the authority, because, dear sweet humans, you so distrust yourselves that you cannot bring yourselves to believe that you have the divine power of authority. But since we have this opportunity to speak to you directly, I wanted to present you with the greater truth. There is no higher authority than who you are in the essence of your perfect loving. And so, this is not in any manner to cause you frustration or suffering, but to release you from the illusions that were inflicted upon you when you were very young, to return to you the memory of who you really are that was taken away from you. He's saying beaten out of you when you were very small. And so your ability to proclaim yourself in your holiness, in your essence, in your eternally loving truth was challenged, was it not? It's time to get that part of you back. And so allow me to ask again, don't be afraid. If anything and everything were possible, what would you want? You don't have to be careful, just spontaneous, you know.
I want peace, Emmanuel.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind, Emmanuel,
Yeah.
is the miracle that I would want.
Yeah. He's saying, then take my arm and let me lead you to the sunset, to the purple waters, to the soft, sweet breezes of springtime. Let me show you your world and the beauty, the miraculous nature of every blade of grass. And let me introduce you to say to you, this is who you are. The opening flowers, and perhaps the artist to represent that in whatever way you feel moved to do so. Do you know you're an artist?
Aspire to be.
Yeah. Well, you are.
I think the answer is yes.
And that little green pillow, can I have it? Because it's better for it. Thank you.
So just take a moment to center yourself. Just find a way of aligning your head so that you feel a sense of balance in your body. Just feeling yourself, as it were, on a path of time, with the past behind you, the future, as in tomorrow not yet come, and this moment. as it shows itself. Perhaps to just simply be aware of your breathing. Whether we're happy, whether we're sad, whether we're present or whether we're not present, there is the breath. When we're asleep, when we're awake, when we know and when we don't know. The breath continues. And so in many traditions, the breath is a representative of the present, the eternal. Try and follow it. Just allow the space. Be aware of the simple movement of your breath. Don't push anything away, or thoughts, or any noise. Just allow them. Just allow yourself to be aware of the breath. And as you breathe out, just using the natural release of the out-breath, just relax. Relax what? Just relaxing your hands. Just relaxing your shoulders. Relaxing your forehead. Relaxing your feet. As you breathe out, just a sense of softening. Of letting go. Surrendering just into this sensation of breathing out. Letting go of the past and of seeking the future. Just here. And as you breathe in, a sense of yes, just here. And within the next in-breath, yes, new, just here. Simple movement of the in-breath. If we hadn't said yes, none of us would be here. So as you feel the in-breath come, let it guide you just to this moment. This fresh, new beginning. then let it go. And then again, another in-breath. Another beginning. And then let it go.
Emmanuel saying on the in-breath, another blessed opportunity for heaven and earth to meet each other, to come together in the moment of yes. I can't begin to tell you how important this practice can be for you. He's saying, thank you, dear Richard, for presenting it so clearly. And fear will say, what am I saying yes to? You are saying yes to your presence on the planet. You are saying yes to your divine essence. You are saying yes to the journey. You are surrendering to the moment of now, which is the only moment that's available to you. You say yes, because that's who you are. And that is what love says. Love says yes. And I asked him, doesn't love ever say no? He says, no, it does not. Fear says no. Love knows its own power. Love knows if something is amiss, that what is needed is more love, more divine presence, more awareness, more yes. When I say yes, I don't mean succumbing. I mean being present. Yes. And he's saying, so again, how can we help you? It feels so good.
Emmanuel, will England win the World Cup?
I'm the sport.
He's saying it wouldn't dare not with you on its side.
Will do that.
He's saying yes. It's so funny.
What?
Yeah.
So if you're a betting man, he's saying what?
It's in for a battle.
It's in for a
England
battle.
is yes. It's going to be competition. Yeah.
Emmanuel, I've been having problems with my right arm, injuring it and so forth. And this afternoon particularly, it feels like it's on fire. And I'd like to know what's happening with it.
I have to get out of the way. He's saying there's inflammation, as you are aware, and you are saying, but where did it come from? It came, dear one, from the anger you were feeling, and it needs to be thrown away. And I swear to you, I'm seeing you outside going like that. And he's saying, with conscious awareness, throw it away. What you don't want in your life, chuck it, he's saying. Throw it away. Well, you are thinking anger isn't supposed to be the ruling force. No, but often it's the voice of wisdom that you haven't heard when it whispered to you. And therefore, becomes imperative that it shouts. That's his answer. Okay. It's funny. And he's saying, don't be afraid to use it. You know, just get your anger out of there. Yeah, right. He's saying activity won't hurt it, suppression does. Yes. He's saying, I wonder if I might say a word about your wondrous, miraculous bodies. They never betray you. Please do hear this. As you are sitting here, be aware of the nobility of your body's purpose to align you with your divine calling while you are here on the planet, and to utilize itself, if you will, as not only a protective device or a defending device, but also to be your top advisor. When something seems to be amiss, don't automatically, please, dear ones, proclaim that it's wrong. Begin to listen. What are you saying to me, body? What am I not hearing? What am I not heeding? What do I need to know from you? Mind might say, but how do you hold discourse with a bone or a muscle? Through respect, through the channel of self-awareness and of the enormous awe that your bodies really and truly merit. They are miracles of communication as well as miraculous servants. Please do hear this. Bodies do not forget. Every cell of your body is created from the divine love of eternity, which is who you are. How could it not be? There's nothing else to create anything of except the substance of all there is. And while you were formulating your body in the womb, you were extremely particular as to what means of communication would exist between the cells of your body and the various parts of your body. So trust them completely. They are designed by you to serve you, absolutely. They do not ever betray you. Honor them and listen to them. Yeah.
Emmanuel, my brother has been very ill for many years. He gets no better or no worse. Why is this, and when will it end?
He is caught, your sweet brother, between two enormous fears. One is the fear of his own dying, and the other, please hear this with enormous compassion, is the fear of his divine living. He, now in this moment, please offer this as my suggestion to him. He needs to make the step towards the light, towards the holy man he really is, and not to let fear shame him or cause him embarrassment. He has always wanted to devote his life to the faith. Urge him to do so. It's interesting, huh?
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like he wanted to be a priest, and he just didn't know how to, break the judgments. That, wow, that's so sweet. I hope that's right, but that's what I heard. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Emmanuel, it's very difficult to do this, to ask a question in front of, in a strange place. For some time now, I've been aware of help,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been learning to follow it. And recently, I'm beginning to hear almost like sentences. So my question, and I don't think I'm going mad. My question is, who is it that is guiding me, and where will this lead me? Where is it going? How is it going to develop?
Who is it? It's your best friend. The being of light who has always been with you. I know it seems as though there should be more of a history than that. But in eternity, dear one, that's all one needs to know, is the yes of another presence. Conversations are brief and incredibly gentle and loving. So I suggest that you allow this dear sweet angel to continue to speak to you. And most certainly, you are welcomed to speak to them as well. Who is it? That's a very seemingly important question to intellect, is it not? It's the love of your heart in divine, perfect manifestation. It's the being of light who promised to walk with you, the one you remember looking for as you are being born. And when you were a very small child, you were always glancing to see, well, where is she? Where? And the being of light was always there. And yes, I represent myself as male, and I mentioned that there was a feminine nature, but it doesn't in any manner require that there be the identification that you perceive in your world, male and female. We are eternally the truth, and so are you. I want to remind you, remarkably so, that nothing alters when you are physically born. Oh, you enter into a very confining, if you will, body, and into a very strange and often hostile environment. But the essence of who you are is there. And you have known yourself through countless, countless centuries. I say there is no time in eternity, but there is the illusion of time on your planet. And you have been human many times, and you know this as well. I am simply verifying what you know. And so, yes, you come with companionship. Yes, dear one, the door between heaven and earth is being opened by you willingly and received gratefully, for we have been trying to speak to you for a very long time. And what is this? How will this affect your life? However you allow it to. Hopefully it will take away the fears that you have been walking with. That is the primary purpose for our being with you. And dear one, again, this is entirely up to you, not a demand, but a capability, that you will help others to perceive the beings of light who walk with them. And perhaps, and only if you are willing, you will be willing to interpret, to perceive, and to offer, to assure them that they are not mad. And no, of course not. Neither are you. In fact, we who walk with you proclaim you finally cured of the insanity of humanity. It's funny. Okay, that's his answer.
Your answer, no.
You know how you feel. When I started channeling Emmanuel, I went into therapy. I saw a therapist. I thought I was schizophrenic. I'm not. I'm certified sane. And it was comforting, you know, really, yeah.
It's strange.
It's not you. Clearly not you. Right. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
You know.
I tell myself I've been off, but that's something else.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And it's very comforting, I think. I find it now. Yeah. Like I'm afraid to fly. Still don't like to fly. But when I get in an airplane, I always hear Emmanuel say, "We'll get you there and we'll get you back." I just, you know, don't be scared. Yeah. And then I've heard him say very loudly, "Don't let fear take you away from me," which was such a sweet thing to hear, because it does. You know? Yeah.
Emmanuel, I regularly listen and receive support, and that's there for me. And before I came here to be with you this afternoon, I felt really anxious, and I kind of feel, when I ask myself why I'm feeling anxious, I felt that you may well have something really important to say to me that will have big effects on my life.
Huh.
So I want you to know that I'm here and I'm listening.
And he's saying, "And I am here too, dear one." In fact, one of the most important things that I could say to you is this, that you have come to teach and to live the truth of the miraculous circumstances that we are speaking of. It is a healing message for those who are made ill by fear. And though most certainly the choice is yours, and dear one, I have not the authority, and neither does any other angel or human being, to tell you what you ought to be doing with your life. There is a gentleness, a sweetness, and a caring in you that holds the capacity to remove fear from those who are sick or dying. And the healing can be miraculous, or the death can be blissful. That's his message. Yeah. But I just sort of saw you walking down a hospital, a corridor, and going in somebody who was, and going over here, just going where you're called. Yeah.
Emmanuel, I have another question which I had before my previous question, and I work with people to help them remember who they are, but I get tired because it's difficult.
They're good at not remembering.
They're very good at not remembering, and so I'm questioning my choice. Perhaps that's not what I should be doing. And so my question, I guess, is about that, but also how can I be energized in this work?
By remembering you're a healer, and by becoming the teacher and the reminder of the greater truth that you have been called to become. Don't limit yourself to what you have been taught is your capacity to offer and their capacity to receive. Go beyond, if you will, please, dear one, accepted logic and reason. That is what is maddening and fatiguing to both you and those who come to you for help. Dare to go to the greater truth you know is real. Live it. Be the miracle. That's what you have always wanted. The bearer of the light. The transformative agent. I do not exaggerate. Allow yourself to begin the practice of being 100% fully present and offering the bounty that you carry. And you will see miracles, self-created miracles, are extremely energizing and very fulfilling. Yeah.
I don't know if this is helpful or not, but it's kind of here to be said, so I'll say.
Yeah.
I have for me, for example, I have an aunt who's just 95 and in a home and suffering from dementia. So when I go and see her, if I relate normally, it's just we can't communicate because she can't remember even who I am from 1 minute to the next. But the moment that I drop into my being, or in spirit as it were, then her eyes kind of light up straight away, just instantly. And it doesn't really matter what I say. And so it's that sort of issue of, who you're talking to and where you're talking from. And that would be tiring if we're trying to persuade people. It's like, it just doesn't work. But if, on the other hand, if you just are, then that part in them will. So
That's good.
it's just, for me, it's amazing to see that's really clear, absolutely clear. I mean, it's like a switch. Just go like here, she goes bing. If I go there, she goes, It's amazing. Very clear.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's great. He's saying everyone, not just children, everyone knows the light when they see it. That's who you are. Forgetting can be blinding and exhausting, but when the truth stands before you, not even the most profound forgetting can ignore it. There is always change. There has to be.
Are you ready? Emmanuel, yesterday I asked a question about my daughter, who is the most precious thing to me, and that I want to be the best father I can possibly be. I'm sure that she sees angels. She's really happy and beautiful and delightful. And so my question is, how can I help her to remember her angel nature? And when is a good time to begin to talk to her about that? And you also mentioned yesterday that when she's older, that she's going to take me by the hand and lead me towards my true destiny, my purpose here. So my other question is how, or maybe it's the same question, but how do I make sure that the gift that she is unwrapped? I guess I'm doubting myself, my ability. Can you help me?
I have another suggestion, of course, as well, as you knew I would. Just remember it yourself, and she will see in your eyes that you are seeing the angels. When vocabulary becomes, if you will, available to her, then speak your loving truth and give her permission to live and speak her own as well. But you remember, dear friend, indeed all of you do, when you are small children, you spend the day looking into the eyes of those to whom love has called you. She will see love and faith, and she will know she's safe. Perhaps it will astound you. Words will not be necessary. Perhaps you will begin by saying, Amber dear, I have something wonderful to tell you. There's an angel standing there. And she will look at you, shrug her shoulders, and say, I know that. It's funny. I just saw her just go like that and walk away. Oh, you're telling me something new? Right? Yeah. He's saying, but let her see the love and the faith and the remembering in your eyes and in her dear mother's eyes as well. Words will not be necessary. They wouldn't have been necessary for you. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. He's saying faith is not a language, it's a way of life.
I hope you enjoyed this meeting with Emmanuel. Subscribe to our channel and you'll be the first to know when we upload any new materials from the Emmanuel archives.